Oh, testing 1 2 3 1 2 3. I had to make sure everything was set up appropriately. Let me see. Let me see. Settings. Audio. All right, cool, cool. All right, what's good, everyone? I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Not going to be a long video tonight, but I did want to go through this lawsuit that one of the official co-counsels to the channel sent me. So salute to them and salute to you all for tuning in. I definitely appreciate it. And shout out to the early birds in the chat. Melissa, Kenneth, hey, I appreciate you. A round of applause for you all for coming through and supporting early, and I actually tried to start on time tonight. I'm struggling. I gotta go get my beverage and anything. But this is gonna be interesting because we're gonna dive into this lawsuit. And I don't know, I seen a bunch of videos where it's called frivolous and other things. I want to talk about something different related to this lawsuit. Let me see if I can pull it up. I want to talk about a little bit something different. But before we dive into this lawsuit, oh hey, licensed attorney, not your attorney, not legal advice, reactions, infotainment purposes. Seek a professional in your area. Don't listen to a talking head on YouTube. If you get some value, like, share, subscribe, comment. Okay, now I wanted to talk about something a little bit different. Not necessarily whether or not the lawsuit is frivolous, but I just wanted to give you all a dive into how there is a lot of gamesmanship. Hey, I appreciate you for tuning in, Lady Red. I appreciate you for tuning in, and hey, I'm definitely looking forward to the election season over there where you are. Hopefully, things could take a big turn for the better. There's a little bit of gamesmanship in this lawsuit. When we did the last video where we went over the interview, and I kind of just gave opinions and things that I saw, how certain things in that video in that interview could be used to impeach or challenge someone's credibility on the stand. You know, of course, a lot of people were like, "Oh man, you work as a defense attorney," but you got to think of it as chess. You know, in checkers, you just kind of worried about the offensive moves, but when you're playing chess, you got to think like I think a chess master thinks 12 moves ahead. You got to think at least 4 to 5 moves ahead to actually be able to play the game well. What that means is you have to be able to anticipate what your opponent is going to do before you can actually make your move. So when you look at anything, even if you're vested on the side of the defendant or the prosecution, it's your job to come up with arguments for both sides, no matter what side you're on, because all arguments benefit your argument or your defense to issue or arguments that's going to be made. So I wanted to say that, preface that, so you all can get it, because there is a little bit of slickness going on in this complaint that I think we're going to jump in and talk about it. I actually pulled up a couple of statutes, but let's go ahead and jump into this lawsuit real quick. I don't want this video to be too long. Let's go ahead and jump into this lawsuit. All right. This is just the paperwork where it was filed. I did not check to see if it was filed in the right court, but let's give Max Solomon the benefit of the doubt and say that it was filed properly. Okay, now we see that this box is checked. I don't know why that one page is crazy blurry too. That's just how it was uploaded. But if we see right here, 0017 Mandamus is a check. Writ of Mandamus is just asking the court to make someone do something. So she's a writ of Mandamus just means, hey, these people aren't doing X and they're legally required to do X. Court make them do X. That's all that means, that mandamus. So we go down, we see we see McSteven Solomon's bar number, where his firm is located. Now let's jump into the lawsuit. Okay, now this lawsuit, as everybody knows, Tiffany Henyard and her role as supervisor of the township against Chris Gonzalez and Carmen Carlisle, who are two trustees. Verified complaint in mandamus, blah, 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 Illinois code. We're going to skip all that. Parties and jurisdiction, I think we already know that, but I'll just go through it since it's short. Plaintiff Tiffany Henyard is a duly appointed / elected and current supervisor of Thornton Township, a unit of township government organized under the laws and state of Illinois and Cook County, state of Illinois. and a resident of Cook County, state of Illinois. Defendant Christopher Gonzalez is an appointed current trustee of the township, organized under the laws of the state. Carmen Carlisle is a duly appointed elected trustee of the township, organized under laws of the state. All right, applicable laws. This complaint is brought under the authority and provisions of the Illinois Code of Civil Procedure uh, and Illinois Township Code 60 ILC 1/1-1. All right, background facts. As provided in the Illinois Township Code, and these code statutes here, ILCS 1/80-5, we're going to take a look at one of them because I'm going to show y'all a big red flag when you're reading any legal document. All right, background and facts. As provided in the Illinois Township Code, the Illinois Township consists of one township supervisor and 4 township trustees. The township board are either appointed or elected at large to serve a specific term in office. Henyard appointment on March 3rd, 2022 is the current supervisor for the township. Darlene Gray Everett, elected in April 2021 for a term of 4 years, is a current trustee of Thornton Township. Christopher Gonzalez, elected April 2021 for 4 years, is a current trustee. And Carmen Carlisle, appointed on May 31st, 2023, is a current trustee for the Thornton Township. Gerald Jones, elected in April 2021 to a 4-year term, was a trustee for Thornton Township who tendered his resignation from this position on and effective October 7th, 2024, therefore creating a vacancy. Thus, the current township board for the Thornton Township consists of the supervisor and 3 trustees, namely Henyard, Gray, Everett, Gonzalez, and Carlisle. With one vacancy in the office of trustee for the Thornton Township, the Illinois Township Code 60 ILC 1/80-10 provides inter alia. That's just attorneys like to, they like to sound real high speed and use their old, like they're in ancient Rome, but that just means amongst other things. The Township Code provides, amongst other things, that the Township Board shall meet for the purposes of examining and auditing the township accounts before any bills are paid. Now, right here is the very first thing that I want y'all to see. If y'all are reading the case and you see a citation like this, the Township Board shall meet ... for the purposes of examining and auditing township accounts ... You should go to that citation and look it up immediately, because essentially those dots means that something is missing. And normally I've clerked for justices at the state Supreme Courts. I clerked for federal judges. Anytime you see a brief where it's ... that means something was taken out. So there's a strong possibility this is out of context. Something's missing. So let me go ahead and pull up what's missing, because I want to show y'all that's just, anytime you see a case, that's something that you're going to have to look out for. Hey, I appreciate you tuning in. Always going to keep it objective. Thank you for tuning in, Kendall. I appreciate everybody on here. So let me go ahead. Hold on. Let me get rid of this. Let me remove that. I want to do another screen share. Hold on. That was, I want to make sure I'm looking at the right statute. 80-10. Okay. 80-10. All right. So let's go ahead and pull this up. So remember, in the complaint, we saw a quote. It was in quotes, but it was like, shall meet ... for the purposes of examining and auditing the township accounts ... before anytime you see a bunch of dots, that's a red flag, because something's probably being cited out of context. So this is the actual language, so we know what was missing in the complaint. The township board shall meet at the township clerk's office for the purpose of examining and auditing the township and road district accounts before any bills other than general assistance, obligations for Social Security taxes as required by the Social Security Act, wages that are subject to Illinois Wage Payment and Collection Acts, or other expenses determined by the township board by resolution are paid. Provided that payments made pursuant to the board resolution shall be reviewed and verified at the next meeting, the board may meet at other times as they determine. The township board may consider and approve bills individually or in a summary statement of any number of bills. Now, how it's written is written a little goofy, but generally, I'll give them credit. It does say what they're asserting it to say, but there is some language in here that we got to pay attention to. It says, okay, provided the payments are made pursuant to the board resolution, shall be reviewed and verified at the next meeting. So, what is missing when we go back and look at this statute? You see the express language. So now we know what all of those dots for. You're like, well, why the hell did they get? Why they have all those dots in there? What did they? What was missing? Why did they take it out? Well, the important part that was missing that they didn't cite in here, but it's in the statute, is that the bills, the accounts have to be reviewed and verified. That's clearly something that they didn't want to have in this lawsuit. So they gave this citation in paragraph 13 with all of those dots. But essentially, it talks about reviewing and verifying the accounts, the books, all of those things. But we got to go back to that statute because we're going to get through this. But it's some gamesmanship because this lawsuit isn't the real lawsuit that she is looking to file. I think I know the real lawsuit she's looking to file. This is a good start of a lawsuit, and what she's saying, yeah, there'll be a defense to it. We'll get to that, but okay. So they cited the statute. They didn't quote it verbatim. They left out the part about reviewing and verifying expenses, accounts, all of that stuff, which makes sense. Now let's pick up in paragraph 14. Paragraph 14 says, another statute, 1/80-15, provides, amongst other things, inter alia, that the township board shall at the same time and place stated in section 80-10 examine the accounts, examine and audit charges and claims and compensation. That's actually favorable language to the trustees because that's one thing they want to do is make sure everything is verified. So actually something favorable for the trustees in this lawsuit. The Illinois Township Code 1/80/50 provides, amongst other things, that account audited shall be paid by the supervisor within 20 days after presentation. ... Okay, I'm not gonna go look up that, but it's clearly some shit missing. That's why they put the dots there. Thus, meetings of the township board are mandated by the Illinois Township Code and are absolutely essential, crucial, and necessary to a smooth running of the day-to-day operations of Thornton Township, even up to and including the management and compensation of staff and employees, and most importantly, to the smooth, uninterrupted flow of the vital and essential services that Thornton Township provides to its residents, including its senior citizens. Meetings of the Township Board for Thornton Township are regularly scheduled every second and fourth Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. In addition, I just thought I forgot to pull something up. I'll pull it up. Okay. In addition to any other meeting, special meeting that may be called pursuant to the provisions of 60 ILC 1/80-10B. However, the Township Board for the Thornton Township have not been able to meet to conduct the business of Thornton Township since October 2024 to present the relevant time due to a lack of a quorum for the Township Board for all scheduled meetings at all relevant times. Count one, mandamus action, essentially asking the court, Gonzalez, show up. All right. At relevant times, I'm skipping some of this stuff. At relevant times, defendant Christopher Gonzalez was and still is duly elected trustee and a member of the Township Board of Thornton Township, Cook County, State of Illinois. By virtue of his election and membership in the Township Board for Thornton Township, defendant Gonzalez has the legal duties and obligations prescribed and vested by the position of the Illinois Township Code, and to fully and faithfully discharge such duties and obligations according to the law. A regular meeting for the Township Board of Thornton Township was scheduled to be held on October 8th at 6 p.m. Gonzalez deliberately, intentionally, and purposely failed and refused to attend the regularly scheduled meeting for the Tuesday, October 8th meeting. A regular meeting, now keep in mind, that's one regularly scheduled meeting. She said he missed on the 8th. A regular meeting was scheduled to be held on October 22nd. He missed that one. A special meeting for the Township Board of the Thornton Township was scheduled to be held on Wednesday, October 30th at 6 p.m. He missed that one. Another regular meeting was scheduled on November 19th, 2024, 6 p.m. He missed that one. A regular scheduled meeting for the 19th, he intentionally missed. A special meeting was scheduled for November 25th. He missed that one. A special meeting was also scheduled for December 5th. He missed that one. Let's see what else. Another special meeting December 17th. Gonzalez was a no-show. Another special meeting was scheduled for December 30th at 6 p.m. He was a no-show. It says defendant Gonzalez has made several public comments and gave several interviews to the media, acknowledging that his failure and refusal to attend the scheduled meetings were deliberate, intentional, and purposeful. See here. Then there's a hyperlink to those articles. Defendant Gonzalez has publicly declared that he would not be attending any more meetings of the Township Board for Thornton Township. Thus, defendant Gonzalez has failed and refused and will continue to fail and refuse to discharge his legal duties and obligation vested upon him. His refusal and continued failure and refusal to fully and faithfully discharge his duties vested upon him by virtue of his elected office has caused severe disruption of township services, a severe disruption of the day-to-day functions, management, and operations of the Thornton Township, and in fact shut down Thornton Township. Okay, so again, this is an instance of her saying the shutdown wasn't her fault; it's their fault. One thing that's is a big fact missing. Let me get through Gonzalez's because I don't think we need to read Carlisle because they had a united front. But it says, all right, let's pick up at 43. Okay, let's see. This Thornton Township suffered and are continuing to suffer hardship and inconveniences, including residents with serious medical conditions who depend on the transportation services offered by Thornton Township. As a result, Gonzalez's failure and refusal and continued failure. Again, she's putting all of this on these two. His failure to discharge his legal duty is vested upon him by virtue of his role as a Thornton Township trustee. All the insurance policies of several properties, including buildings and vehicles of Thornton Township, have lapsed, resulting in a total shutdown of buildings and cessation of transport services provided by Thornton Township. Plaintiff Henyard, in her capacity as the supervisor, respectfully prays that this honorable court enter a judgment granting and issuing mandamus, directing and commanding defendant Christopher D. Gonzalez to attend any and all regular special meetings, including any emergency meeting that the board of Thornton Township that may be called, scheduled in accordance with law for the purpose of participating in the conduct of Thornton Township business, fully and faithfully discharge his legal duties and obligations as vested upon him by virtue of his election to office as a trustee of Thornton Township, and for such and further relief to the residents of Thornton Township as this honorable court may deem appropriate and just. I'm just assuming that everything else is exactly the same. October 8th, October 22nd, October 30th, October 19th, November 25th, November 19th, December 17th, December 30th. Same exact allegations, same prayer to the court. All right, so essentially she's passing the buck on everybody and saying, yo, everything that's happened here is your fault. Okay. All this has happened is your fault. Now, I don't know if you all remember this. I talked about it early on when they first started showing up. I knew that there could be some legal exposure there because just not showing up to do your job as an elected official could be problematic. Now, it is no bearing, really, has no bearing on whether it's her fault or their fault that the township shut down, that they don't have insurance. When we look behind the scenes, it looks like it's something that was controlled by her conduct or her activity or inactivity, either personally had her in a position where she could either renew the policy or her conduct made her uninsurable. So insurance company was like, it's hands off. Either way, it's looking like that issue is something that falls in her court. But I wanted to talk about the strategy that's going on here. because this isn't the lawsuit that she really cares about filing. I'm gonna go back to the statute that they erroneously and the statute that they did not cite to directly, but they took specific language out of it. But that statute has something very interesting because this is the baby lawsuit. Is a specific reason why she listed in that lawsuit what days were missed, what meetings were missed. I got one more thing I need to pull up. I thought I had it. I apologize. I must have accidentally took it down while I was pulling up all these windows. Let me pull it up. Let's see. No, it's not that one. Give me 1 second. I want to make sure I got it. I had it up. All right. So now let's go, and I'm gonna tell you why this isn't the lawsuit that they're most interested in. Let me check out some of the comments real quick. I see everybody in the chat. Shadow Seeker, what's good? ATL in the building. What's going on? I appreciate everybody tuning in. Lady Luck, what is up? All right. I gotta check it. I gotta check in that. All right. Nah, I wasn't at Hood. I was overseas, Brody. I was overseas in good old Germany. I'm gonna show you. Hey, shout out to you for hey, some people just have excellent foresight and they make the right comments. Shout out to you, Big Boots, because we about to dive into that. Let's see. One of his was to leave earlier, and she's saying that he didn't attend. Let's see. She forgot to say criminal Tiffany used uninsured buses to be used to drive elderly people around. That she did. It's actually terrible. But let's get into why this lawsuit is the starting ground for what she's trying to do, and what is the defense that Gonzalez and Carmen Carlisle are probably going to have to assert to make sure this doesn't happen. Now I got to pull up the statute we saw earlier, and I know I don't like the way these citations are written, but we got to get to it. Now we went through, we read her complaint, the gist of it. Nobody's showing up. Regular meeting, special meeting, emergency meeting. She specifically articulated those. Now this is why she articulated those. The first thing that she's going to ask the court for is specific performance via this mandamus, a writ of mandamus. I want them specifically to do their job and just show up. But she has something baked in that she's going to ask for at a later date. It's going to be interesting. Let's go ahead and dive in. Okay. Take a look at this statute. This is the same section we read earlier. We in 60 ILC CS 1/80-10. We read subsection A. Let's get down to subsection B. I'm already show y'all. This is where they're going with it. Subsection C. It says the township board may declare vacancy in the office of township supervisor or trustee if a supervisor or trustee has missed 5 or more consecutive unexcused absences from a regularly scheduled township board meeting. The township board may adopt rules not inconsistent with this code to govern its meetings. The rules may provide for excused absences of the supervisor or trustee from a township point of view. So she's going to ask the court for specific performance. The court, I'm going to just guess, the court is probably going to tell them, yo, y'all going to have to show up and do their job. I think not showing up is generally going to work out, because I think by the time all of this is resolved in court, we'll be knocking at the election's doorstep. So it'll probably kind of be a moot issue at that point. Probably won't be enough room, even if they do show up at the last week before the election meeting or something to that effect. It probably won't be that big of a deal. Not much damage that can be done. But she's going to ask for specific performance in this lawsuit. But with the absences, at some point, I'm assuming that she's going to ask the court to actually be able to declare that these seats were vacated because they had unexcused absences. Now, I want to read something so y'all can see this real quick. All right, let's see. I got it broken down to the meetings. Okay, now we know which meetings were missed and which weren't, starting on October 8th. So between October 8th and January 6th, there were 10 meetings. Now, that citation that we just said you nobody cares about a special meeting or emergency meeting, but if you miss 5 or more regular meetings with an unexcused absence, you could have your seat vacated and that's a wrap. So I think that's going to be their backup argument. We had first meeting October 8th was a regular. I'm just going to go through the regular meetings that we had. And this isn't updated, so we may have had another one. I don't know if the last meeting was regular or special, but I know for certain October 8th was a regular meeting, which was missed. October 22nd was a regular meeting, which was missed. November 19th was a regular meeting, which was missed. December 17th was a regular meeting that was missed. And I stopped on January 6th. Y'all let me know if the meetings that they had after January 6th were in fact regular meetings. If they were regular meetings and Carlisle and Gonzalez did not show up, then I think they're going to be, she's going to, if this performance lawsuit is unsuccessful, there'll be another lawsuit filed essentially saying that those seats are vacated because they had 5 absences to a regular board meeting that were unexcused. I just counted 4, and that was as of January 6th. Now, okay, I know y'all like, man, don't be giving her ammo, DFD. Good points here that are going to be arguable for both Carmen Carlisle and Chris Gonzalez. I think the first thing that they said when all of this started was that there were safety concerns. And in light of how those township meetings have been going, I think that that is a valid option. So I think that that is a valid argument to justify, maybe not, I would argue it justifies every meeting because a risk to my life or the life of someone sitting up there or the safety of someone up there is a paramount issue, is a very important issue. But I think that that justification will be sufficient standing on its own. But the other thing that was unique is when I looked at that statute, I was like, the absences, unexcused or excused absences. So, of course, I mean, common sense. I was like, well, what the hell? Who determines if an absence is excused or unexcused? So I dove down a rabbit hole trying to find what's going on, how these meetings played out. October 8th, it was a regular board meeting that was missed. 22nd special, we went through all of those. Now, so I was looking at what's going on here. How do we know who has an unexcused absence, who has an excused absence, who decides what? Do you got to get a signed note like you're in school? Is Tiffany Henyard the ultimate determinant of if an absent is excused or unexcused, which would be absolutely terrible? I think the most important thing that I found is that it is unclear, and I'm reading this. It is unclear what determines an absent. What determines whether an absent is considered unexcused. I couldn't find anything on the books that outlined what the processes were for determining that an absence from a trustee participating in a regular, special, or emergency meeting, who determines if it's excused or unexcused. I think that's going to be the argument point that they're going to have to have. So I'm not really too concerned with this writ of mandamus lawsuit. Um, and it's a little bit disingenuous because when they talked about the meetings that were missed, especially the meetings early on, October, November, there was no mention of, well, the reason that they asserted that they missed these meetings were due to safety concerns. Because if you put that in a lawsuit, anybody's going to look at it and read it and say, oh, well, would you show up somewhere where you could potentially get your ass kicked or your life could be in harm's way? No, you wouldn't. It's just not something you would do as an adult trying to handle township business as a professional. So that was expressly excluded from the lawsuit for a reason. But I think that the route that they're going to go, they're filing this mandamus. They want them to show up. I think by the time the court makes a decision on this, even if it's in favor of Henyard or if it isn't, I think we're going to be looking around the time frame of elections anyway. So, and I'm just be honest, I would not be shocked if the court said, "Hey, okay, we get what was going on," and courts generally, especially at local levels, don't like to interfere in the political process. So I can see a realistic scenario where a court is like, "Yo, we get what was going on. We understand that you all are certain as your defense that you all had security concerns. So in light of that, hey, moving forward, effective the such and such date, you got to show up to do your job." But I think by the time that happens, we'll be touching election season. So it probably won't be as much damage that could be done if they were to show up and not necessarily have the votes needed to do what they want to stop her from doing. Now, depending on how much time is left when that happens, she'll probably actually try to file litigation paperwork to see if she can have those seats vacated. Because if those seats are vacated and it's just her, Darlene Everett, oh man, that'd be wow. And the clerk, wow, that'd be that would be absolutely terrible. I think that this lawsuit is a strong likelihood that it'll probably be successful. I wouldn't be shocked if the court said, "Yo, y'all got to show up to do y'all job." But I think by the time they say that, it'll be little to of no impact because the election will be so close. The biggest concern would be if she speeds to try to have them vacated because they missed that 5 regular board meetings. I don't think that would be a successful lawsuit because I couldn't find anything that outlined or defined the process for determining an excused absence versus an unexcused absence. So if I'm Carlisle and Gonzalez's attorney, hey, those absences are excused because my clients were in fear for their safety. My client has a restraining order against an individual who is consistently in the media, consistently showing a overtly aggressive tone at these events. And hey, he's not a small dude. This is a relatively big guy. My client is a female. She's not a third-degree black belt here, Your Honor. Yeah, the argument that they need to make is play all of that stuff up to justify that their absences were in fact excused. That's why they articulated them in the beginning. And Tiffany Henyard and her team failed to do anything or make any efforts to make the environment safe. But I think that's what the play is. I think they're asking for performance on the front end. If they can't get performance, if enough regular meetings are missed, they'll probably see if they have a legal standing to push to have those seats vacated. Then the question is going to be, well, they were absences, but were they excused or unexcused? I don't see anything on the books. Even if there is something on the books, let's say, I hope this isn't the case, but let's say absolute worst case scenario, it was something on the books that said, in the processes that said, the township supervisor determines what absences are excused and what absences are unexcused. I definitely hope that's not the case. Y'all let me know if y'all find something out there that defines it. But let's say that that was the case. Even if that is the case, they'll still have a strong argument. Tiffany Henyard could be in a position to say, well, I'm the one who makes the determination of if an absence is excused, and they provided me excuse, but it wasn't a central one. I think any court would look on his face at the fact that there was a restraining order, at the fact that all these meetings get wilder and wilder as each YouTube video is posted. I think they would have a good argument. That's my thought on where they want to go with it and how it should be defended. I think the performance lawsuit actually might be a viable one. Like, okay, y'all have to show up, but and I can see the court splitting the baby because that's what I would do. I wouldn't tell somebody, yo, you have to show up even if you can go to this thing and get your ass kicked. Okay. So what I would do if I were a judge and this were in front of me, I would be like, okay, you all missed a lot of meetings. Check. I got it. Were they excused, unexcused? I don't know. We can't make that determination. But early on, when you missed the first meeting, you did pose and present what we find to be a valid safety and security risk. And it appears that adequate measures have not been taken. So in light of that, hey, we're going to grant this in part and try to work something out, a compromise. You all actually have to report the duty. Y'all have to do y'all job. Prior to the next regularly scheduled meeting or the next regularly scheduled meeting for the month of February, for example, I would say, hey, Henyard, you and your team have to come back and report to the court what steps that you're taking that's going to ensure that these events are done in a safe manner and that no participant or no trustee is in harm's way during these events. You bring that to me, I'll evaluate it to tell you if it's sufficient. If it's sufficient, you're telling the court this is what you're going to do. I'll sign off on it, say, okay, that's sufficient. You all have to report to the next meeting. If the next meeting occurs and you haven't implement the security features or the security measures that you articulated to this court, there will be a problem. So that's what I would do as a judge. I think a judge is probably going to split the baby, do something to that effect. That's my thoughts on that lawsuit, but it was an interesting one. Let me go up real quick and take a look at some of the comments. Let's see. Okay. They just found all these. I think it is a waste of time. I mean, everybody should just ride it out and do what they continue to been doing. I would continue to not show up and I wouldn't talk about anything outside of the safety concerns. Did y'all see the last meeting? They got crazy up there. That's the only thing I would be talking about. I wouldn't talk about if I was Carlisle and Gonzalez, I wouldn't talk anything about how terrible Henyard is or isn't. More importantly, is I would just be like, yo, I have a concern for my safety. The person I got a restraining order is up there just giving a very aggressive posture. It's getting rowdy at these events. I need to make sure I'm safe so I can actually do my job effectively to represent the township. Mm. That's where it should go. I don't even it never made sense to me. You have a vacancy and a trustee seat. Why would the supervisor be able to select who that person is? That is actually ridiculous. It should go to the people first as opposed to the supervisor because when it's in the supervisor's hand, now you got like, who the hell you think I'm gonna pick? If I was the supervisor and there's a vacancy and it's unilaterally up to me, you think I'm gonna select somebody who's not gonna vote with everything that I say? Come on now, that would be. I mean, Tiffany Henyard may be a finesser. She may be incompetent. She may have no morals. She may have a lot of things, but I don't think she's stupid enough to put someone in a seat if it's unilaterally up to her that isn't going to vote her way. So I think that that's something that should be changed immediately because it makes no sense whatsoever. Yep, consecutive meetings. Yep, but I mean it says consecutive meetings. Hold on, let's go back to it. Let's pull it up. Let me pull it up. Okay, yeah, it says exactly what you said. If the supervisor or trustee has 5 or more consecutive unexcused absences from regularly scheduled township board meetings. So I I mean that's what it says. And according to what I got, they've missed at least 4. All the meetings don't have to be back to back, as in October 8th, 22nd, October 30th. They just have to miss consecutive regular meetings. So regular meetings are only consecutive in the manner with which they're held. So for purposes of this, and to satisfy that, they had a regular meeting on the 8th and the 22nd. Those were consecutive regular meetings. The next regular meeting that they missed was on the 19th. Those are 3 consecutive regular meetings. The next regular meeting was the 17th. That's 4 consecutive regular meeting. And I got January 6th is where I stopped. Everything else was special or emergency. So just because they aren't the meetings, the regular meetings are consecutive, despite how many special or emergency meetings are going to fall in between. That's how that's going to be read. It doesn't mean that we have to restart the clock. It was they missed a regular meeting, a special meeting. Now let's restart the clock. They missed regular meeting number 1 is the next one. Nah, that's not all the regular meetings that were consecutive. That's how that's going to be interpreted. I don't think it's going to be because if that was the case, I would just a special meeting. Yeah, that is not going to be interpreted. Like there's no court that's going to look and interpret it that is those regular meetings weren't consecutive because it wasn't regular. No, those meetings were because a special meeting is called as needed. That doesn't impede on the fact that a regular meeting was held in a consecutive manner. They're just going to look at the dates that they're normally scheduled. If it's Tuesday and Thursday, Tuesday, Thursday, we don't give a shit about what happened in between. Next Tuesday, Thursday, we don't give a shit about what happened in between. Did you miss those four? Well, for purposes of looking at this statute, those are 4 consecutive meetings that were missed. Yes. No, but I got something for Lex. Well, I made something for Lex. Nothing major. I'm on the live. What's up? All right, later. So that's how that's going to be read. But that's a good point. But that's how it's going to be read. It doesn't have to be every date is a consecutive regular meeting, 5 in a row, back to back, with no special meetings in between. Fair point. Fair point. And that's another point that could be argued is okay, you can argue if the meetings in fact were done correctly to begin with. That's actually another good point. Shout out to you. That's actually another good point where you could potentially pose a challenge. Hey, this an argument could potentially be this wasn't a regularly scheduled meeting has an agenda that's agreed to by everybody. So another argument could in fact be, I think that's a good point, great point. Well, even though this date was identified as a regular meeting, there was a conflict of what was going to be on the agenda. Henyard had one agenda, the trustees had another agenda. There was never a consensus, and in order for there to be a regular meeting, there has to be an approved agenda. Because the approval of the agenda is at issue, it can't be a regular meeting. Damn good point. Good point. Oh, so November and December. Okay, he was there in October. Okay, I don't know. I'm looking at. Let's see. Okay, all right. As of when is this? As of as of January 6th, it says there have been 10 as of January up until January 6th, there have been 10 meetings since Trustee Jerry Jones resigned on October 7th. 4 of those were regular scheduled board meetings, 5 were special meetings, and then they got the dates and agendas below. But that was a good point. Y'all making some great ass points here. I do recall them getting up, walking out, and that was something I said I mentioned in another video too. I would just show up and leave. Uh, now you're getting into nuances of that's going to be interesting. The fact that y'all let me know if y'all found something as to what defines an excused or unexcused absence. I couldn't find it, and I only got a finite amount of time I'm going to dedicate to try to finding it, but I couldn't find anything. But that's a good point. Hey, shout out to you. That's actually a good point because I do remember those meetings where they was like, "Fuck this," and we just getting up and leaving. They was like, "You know what? Hey, we don't have to hear this. Let's get." I thought that was smart. I thought that was a smart play. The argument is going to be, mm, are you absent? I don't know. Another thing that happened too is were were meetings that were called because I think I seen this at I can't recall what meeting it was, but I've actually seen meetings happen where they didn't even like get to the roll call. So like is it actually a regularly scheduled meeting if we have everybody here but we don't even do the process to get this damn meeting started? Like there are going to be a lot of arguments there that they could potentially make. But I think that that's definitely the route that she's going to pivot with it. Let me see. Okay, she canceled the January meeting. Okay. So they aren't at 5 regular scheduled meetings missed yet. That's actually a good thing. Yep, special meetings don't count. You 100% right. Yeah, and that's the argument that they're gonna have to lean on. Our absences were excused because of the goon squad. And hey, and if you can't define what an excused absence or unexcused absence is, I'm of the opinion that is excused if it's a valid reason to me as a member as a trustee. I determine well, hey, yeah, my personal safety and the safety of my colleagues. So I think a court will will I think a court will side with that argument. Oh, the clerk did. Why doesn't the attorney tell her to stop filing these frivolous lawsuits? I'm assuming that okay, it's one or two things here. I'm assuming one. Well, I'm going to make an assumption and then I'm going to state a fact. The assumption is that in some form of fashion, I don't know if it's her money, if it's a village or a township credit card, but in some way, Max Solomon is getting paid. I don't know what the fee arrangement is. I don't know what the fee agreement is. If he's doing all this for free, and now we know we talked about it before how this dude like to do legal work for free, and they get exactly what they pay for. If he's doing this for free, it would be wild. I'm assuming he's getting some type of compensation. That's point number one. That's why he's filing the lawsuits. I think point number two, which is something I'm going to state as a fact, is even though Max Solomon has been practicing damn near as long as I have, he is clearly inexperienced in the practice of law. He is clearly inexperienced in litigation. He clearly has no experience in municipality law. Um, and so filing a frivolous lawsuit can get you sanctions from a judge. Most judges probably aren't inclined to give sanctions. I'm thinking a lot of judges tied up in this shit, like, you know what? Let's just put this stuff out until the election comes. So hopefully we don't ever got to deal with these yahoos again. That's what I'm thinking. But frivolous lawsuit can get you a sanction with the court. I'm assuming he's getting some compensation, and he either A, he's inexperienced, so he's just filing them because he may not think these lawsuits are frivolous. Is this lawsuit frivolous? I don't think it's frivolous, but I don't think it's a good lawsuit. A lawsuit can be a it could be a, it could be a non-frivolous lawsuit, but it's just a bad case. I think that's what this is. I don't think it's necessarily frivolous. I think a mandamus writ is probably the right way to go because you want these people to show up. Probably not a frivolous lawsuit because a frivolous lawsuit generally is defined as having no basis in fact and in law. Like, okay, yeah, there are meetings that are being missed. Yeah, there are some laws out there that say that, hey, these people have an obligation to perform in such and such capacity, but for certain circumstances. So I don't think it's frivolous. I just think it's a loser of a lawsuit to file. I don't think it's going to get any traction. And even if it does get traction, I think by the time they require performance, it'll be too late. Or it'll be too late because the election's around the corner. Or, like I said earlier, because of the security concerns, the court is probably going to want Henyard and her crew to articulate what the security measures are, and that'll be in the court order. Hey, we're going to order you, we're going to sign off on this writ of mandamus and order you to perform, but that performance is contingent on these security measures being in place as of this date, this date. And because you know when the regular scheduled meetings are, you can say at every regular scheduled meeting, here and after, and every special or emergency meeting, these security measures have to be taken. If these security measures aren't taken, trustees will be within their right to be absent as the court finds that a security measure violation, risk of physical harm, threat to safety is sufficient to justify excused absence. So that's how that's going to play out. But yeah, I think he either doesn't know what's a good lawsuit or he's just getting paid, so he's going to file them. Again, I don't think this is a frivolous lawsuit because I think there is some basis in law and fact. I just don't think it's a good lawsuit that's going to be successful. And by successful, I don't mean because they can actually potentially win on the merits and say, all right, y'all got to do y'all job. Y'all got to come do y'all job. But, and so they could actually win on the merits. But I think that by successful, I mean, I don't think the outcome, even if they win, would be done in time for them to really get what they want. It'll be election time and then everything will be a done deal. It should be. I mean, again, there is not uncommon for local judges and local courts to take the position that we don't want to interfere in the political business of a municipality. So that is something that has happened before in other local jurisdictions where courts said no. The statute is clear. The statute mandates that the trustees are the ones who should govern themselves. This is an instance where there's no violation of a constitutional right. They can assert so many reasons where they could really back out of it if they wanted to. And I mean, honest, that would be a good move. I just wouldn't want to waste my judicial resources and actually hearing this shit, even if a decision was made that was favorable. It wouldn't have an outcome that would cause anything to change because elections are going to be around the corner. So, what difference would it make? Damn, the clerk is resigning. That's crazy. There's going to be nobody on that trustee board. This is absolutely insane. Oh yeah, the clerk resigned from the election board. Right, right. I remember seeing that. Okay, I remember she resigned from the election. That shit's stressful. Could you imagine being on the election board and you got to deal with all these yahoos? Shit, I wouldn't want to do that. It ain't like somebody on the damn election board. It ain't like somebody on the election board getting paid a gazillion dollars to deal with all this idiocracy. Yeah, I looking at. Let's see. I saw an article out here that talked about the meetings that were missed. All right, October 8th, they missed. Hold on, let's see. I'm just looking at their regular meeting. So October 8th, they missed. Yeah, I don't even know how accurate this is, too. I found this article online, and now I see an inconsistency in it. They list out in this article I'm looking at. They list out the 10 meetings that had occurred between the resignation and January 6th. And it says October 8th was a regular board meeting. Then it says October 22nd was a regular board meeting. But then when I scroll down, it shows how those meetings play out. October 8th, regular board meeting. Carlisle and Gonzalez declined to attend the October 8th regular board meeting, citing safety concerns. Then it says October 22nd, special meeting. Gonzalez attended the October 22nd special meeting where three board members were present, yet Henyard announced there were no quorum and ended the meeting. Yeah, so this article, and shout out to the Lansing Journal because their stuff is normally pretty accurate. But we all have errors and inconsistencies. I make them all the time, but is a discrepancy. They list October 8th as a regular board meeting. They list October 22nd as a regular board meeting. But then when I scroll down, it says October 22nd, it was a special meeting. Then it says, so let me pull this up so y'all can see it. I'm gonna pull this up so y'all can see what the hell I'm talking about. Let me see. Stop sharing, present, share screen, fact check. All right. So yeah, this is where I was looking at the information because I would just be honest. I'm not going to all of those agendas to find out if it was special or regular. I got the bandwidth to do that. But they have it. The meetings date below are linked to the agenda published for each meeting. And you see they have the 8th as a regular board meeting, the 22nd as a regular board meeting. But then when I scroll down and say how those meetings played out, 8th regular board meeting, October 22nd special meeting. But up here they had October 22nd listed as a regular board meeting. Let me see if they have those on any other for the regular meeting. So that 22nd, even because it's inconsistent on here, is probably a special board meeting because they got this facts here where they talk about what happened. So let me see. The other regular meeting they had listed was for November 19th, and they have November 19th regular meeting. Okay, I think the other ones appear to be. I'm not gonna say they're accurate, but they appear to be consistent. December 17th. See, yeah, this is all jacked up because up here it says December 17th, number 7, December 17th, regular meeting. I'm just let me go back. Yeah, it's inconsistent because it says What was that? Yeah, December 17th, it says regular meeting here. Then when we scroll down here, it says the November 19th meeting was essentially boycotted, as were the November 25th, December 5th, and December 17th special meetings. So, all right, this is probably wrong. According to this, they had one, two, three, four regular meetings. But then when we go down here, I just see two instances where they cite regular meetings listed here as special meetings. So yeah, it probably wasn't five because they're a little bit confused. So it probably wasn't five consecutive regular meetings. So I think that's a good point. Yeah, five consecutive regular meetings. And they had four listed, but it doesn't look like it was four. It looks like at least two of those four that they listed were in fact special meetings. So they may be several meetings away from reaching five of the regular meetings. Yeah, she probably is. She probably is counting that as a missed meeting, which I don't think is a meeting. If you show up then leave, it's not a missed meeting. So it's not a. I don't think you were absent from the meeting. So I agree. What's going on, the chosen one? I appreciate you tuning in. I tried to find an article. I thought that was the case. Hey, shout out to you, Kenneth, for providing that. I recall reading that somewhere, and I was actually trying to find the article where I read that. So, because I couldn't find it, I wasn't sure if I was making it up. But because I'm glad. Okay, now that you said it, I know I didn't make it up. But that actually shows how sometimes they say the Lord works in mysterious ways. I thought I remember early on when they talked about the safety threats, they asked to do a Zoom, and Henyard said no. And in hindsight, that was the stupidest decision she could have made. And she said, okay, sure, y'all safety is of concern. Go ahead and do the Zoom meeting. She wouldn't even be at this point because she'd be like, hey, I addressed the safety. I couldn't get the people there to address the safety concerns, but I let them do it from Zoom. Then they would actually have no reason at all. So the reason that they had for not attending the meetings was because she denied their request to do it virtually. That's ironic. That's ironic. But I thought I read that, but I couldn't find the article or the news story that says something like that. But I thought that was ironic. They asked to be able to do it virtually, and you said no. And now you would cut off your right leg to be able to allow them to do it virtually, because then you can have the quorum that you so badly wanted. Yeah, she was the appointed queen. Yeah. When are the feds indicting? Do you think they still are? I'm beginning to lose my hope. I think so, but isn't that going to happen because you're going to have to get whoever is the U.S. attorney in charge of that district is probably not going to be there if he hasn't already resigned. I know the U.S. attorney for Southern District of New York, when we talked about the Diddy case and the Eric Adams case, Eric Allen. Shout out to Eric Allen, the football player. He didn't do anything, but the U.S. attorney for that district resigned. So what's probably going to happen, just from a political standpoint, is U.S. attorney is going to resign as of next week. Once President-elect Trump takes office, he's going to put his new U.S. attorney in, Pam Bondi, who I've actually met before, and very smart woman. He's going to put Pam Bondi in to be the attorney general. They're going to have new U.S. attorneys pointed to all of these districts. And the new U.S. attorney is going to say, okay, I'm in this seat now. What is going to be our mandate? I'm I don't think it's going to get let go. That's just me. I would be shocked if nothing happens from it. I think it's going to be some lag time between you're going to have to get a new U.S. attorney in that office. It's going to be a shuffling of the leadership. There's going to be new persons in charge of fraud and public corruption. Those persons who are in charge of fraud and public corruptions, they may not be they may be more gun ho than the current administration is. I think it's still going to happen, but I think it's definitely going to take its time now. I would have loved to see it over the holidays, but I think it's going to take its time because once the new regime come in, they just got to fill things out. But that being said, I mean, generally the statute of limitations for any federal offenses, for most federal offenses, is 5 years. So they got plenty of time. And if it's a conspiracy, if there was multiple persons who conspired to defraud, misappropriate funds, there's some stretching out that they could do. They attended last night, took the road to the left. Hey, I'm not saying, hey, sometimes it's smart to be able to have a little bit of gamesmanship. They're like, we don't want to get close to that 5 consecutive regular meetings. So let's go ahead, show up, and just go ahead and roll out. She's counting the special meetings, yeah. And even in that Lansing Journal article, they had 2 regular meetings. They had 2 meetings listed as regular meetings that appeared, in fact, to be special meetings. So they probably aren't nowhere near the 5. Let's see. That's a fair point. It does say that the board may remove trustees, but like everything else, the board, the law says the board may do a lot of things that they aren't doing, and you can go to the court to ask for certain things for the court to do. I seriously don't see any way that the court would remove an elected official. I just at a public level, that shit is crazy. I don't think that would. I think the chances of that happening are slim because courts do not like to get involved in local politics. The rules are there for you all to police yourself, act like y'all got some fucking sense, and do it right. Yeah. Mm, arguable. I mean, everything is arguable. I think that's a good argument, but I mean, if I'm Gonzalez's and Carlisle's attorney, I'm arguing to the counter. Well, you know what? I didn't think it was what would my argument be if they say, well, these guys showed up and then they subsequently left and we couldn't even get the meeting started? The first thing I would do is pull up a YouTube video of the meeting. They're like, hey, initially back in October, we told everyone that there were safety concerns. Did you all see how that shit show was going? It started to get raucous in there. Hey, we didn't want to be any parts of that. So we decided to put ourselves in a position that allowed us to, one, be in a safe space and not have to worry about any physical outburst that could potentially occur. Which, I mean, I'm actually shocked nobody ran up on anybody and started swinging yet, like a trustee or something. I'm actually shocked that everybody's been able to hold it together. That's damn. She burned every bridge that she had. That's crazy. Let's see. I don't know if they included that one or not. I was just reading off. I didn't read what she cited as meetings that they missed because I just don't believe anything that she says, especially if it's in a court pleading. And I cited it off of a Lansing Journal article. There was supposed to be a fact check, but it looked like it might be an error or two in there. And I think that's an argument that we talk about. I think if you don't have an agreed upon agenda, I would argue that one aspect of having a meeting is having an agenda, and if the agenda has to be agreed upon and it isn't, I would argue that that isn't a meeting. We just here talking about shit, but it's not a real meeting. How could it be a real meeting if we're supposed to have an agreed upon agenda? And we had submitted agenda A, she submitted agenda B, and we didn't have any meeting of the minds as to, okay, this is what we're going to talk about. Let's see. Hey, I think he's a terrible attorney. I'm not. I think he needs a mentor. Now, to be practicing over a decade and need a mentor is crazy work. But yeah, this dude needs a mentor or something. Like, yeah, because he clearly, yeah, he ain't, that ain't it, bro. And at the end of the day, I don't know what she's paying him or if she's paying him, but I'm sure she's getting exactly what she paid for. Um, Compensation does not have to be monetary. I agree with that, but how can I put this? I don't know. That could be as as a attorney who I like to think that I'm not incompetent. There's no way I would take on somebody as a client and want non-monetary compensation. That's actually crazy. You could probably get yourself in a shitload of trouble going down that road. Now, again, some people are unethical, so it wouldn't surprise me if some backdoor deal was made. Hey, if you help me out here, I'll help you out if I'm reelected and do this or that. So it could be some backdoor arrangement, but generally having a attorney client relationship established, a representation agreement, and it doesn't outline the payment terms, or the payment terms are in something as in favors, that's actually fucking crazy. Like, yeah, that could be a big time issue that could get you right back in front of the local state bar. That's a fair point. Well, the reason she cares is because when Andrew Holmes was missing meetings, it wasn't really standing in the way of what she wanted to do. Now, right now is every all the pressure is on because, like, did y'all see? I got a whole separate video I'm gonna put out probably tomorrow where shout out to Jed over on his channel where he said that Tiffany Henyard was trying to get the Democratic Party to appoint her as the Cook County Commissioner. And I actually looked it up. I was like, wow, this is interesting. How much does the Cook County Commissioner make? This is I'm scared as shit, on the verge of being broke as hell, and I need to find anything that I could do or get appointed to anything I could get appointed to that allow me to have some remnants of an income. Because once this 240 some odd $1,000 job gone, shit gonna be hard. Like it's gonna be ramen noodles and grits for a minute. So, I mean, I think that's why she cares. Like, she didn't care about Andrew Home because when he was missing those meetings, I don't think she was as under much pressure. I don't think there's any way that she could actually win an election. I'd be shocked. I just don't see it. I don't see it in the cards that she could win an election. And if she's in fact trying to get the Democratic Party to appoint her to a position, and the salary was flux. I saw something that said as low as $95,000 for the Cook County Commissioner, and as high as I think $125,000 for Cook County Commissioner. But to me, that says a few things. If that is true, I think number one, it says that yes, she's scared shitless. That's why she worried about having these trustees because she want to be able to push whatever her agenda is through. I think two, it says that she's scared shitless from an economic standpoint because the faucet is about to be turned off and the cash that's flowing in on the back of the government and the taxpayers is going to be gone. And most times when you're a government official, generally, when you're a government official in an elected position, once you lose that seat, you can go get a job at a consulting firm and you have your contacts last 3 to 4 years on average. So if I stay in the job, I make a shitload of contacts, I leave or I'm not elected to that seat anymore. I normally would go across the street, get a job at a big ass consulting firm. Now that I got this job at this fucking consulting firm, my contacts are good for 3 to 4 years. So I got 3 to 4 years of charging them probably two times what I was making with all sorts of crazy bonuses and shit until my contacts dry up. The fact that she's searching, if she is petitioning and trying to get appointed as a county commissioner, shows that she's not going to have any options to be able to make the salary that she's making currently in the private sector. What is she going to do? But I think to your question, I think that's the reason why she's concerned now because it's crunch time and she's trying to, hey, you want to squeeze as much as you can out of the toothpaste tube before the toothpaste is gone, right? You're like, oh, this shit about to be empty. Let me get, and I don't know if I'm gonna get another tube of toothpaste, so let me get it all out while I can. And I think that's the difference. Uh, I don't think they ever adopted Robert's rules. I remember one, they should adopt Robert's rules of orders. I think that's a consistent thing that's used uniformly at various city, local, state levels. But I don't think they ever adopted the Roberts rules because I remember when we talked about that, and I was in favor of it. I was like, yeah, y'all should adopt the rules because y'all don't even either they don't follow their rules or they don't have rules, one of the two. But yeah, I mean, it. I think arguments are to be made both ways. I remember expressly watching the hearing or reacting to a hearing where they talked about the adoption of Robert's rules, and Gonzalez said, "We already use the rules. We don't need to adopt them formally." And Tiffany Henyard was like, "Well, no, we should adopt them because now we know this would be the process that she used." And that was one of the very rare instances where she made a point where I was like, that was actually a good point. But yeah, I don't think they ever adopted the formalized use of those rules, even though Gonzalez essentially inferred that they were using them unofficially. I don't think he's either. I'm still confused as the level of his representation. I think he's her attorney. I don't know. I get confused. I dove down a rabbit hole to try to figure out what was going on with the law firms, with Delgado and Brentley and everybody. And that shit gave me a headache. And I was like, you know what? I'm good. But I think it's their personal. Yeah, they adjourned with the vote. Okay. Hey, the fastest way to get rich in America is through litigation. Yeah. The fastest way to get rich is through litigation. Let's see. They accused the clerk of filing papers wrong and mismanaged of election documents. How the hell are you gonna have a now? Y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but according to the Lansing Journal, and I saw a video where they said that if there's a tie with the trustees, the deciding vote goes to the clerk. That was the big issue with why it was assumed that Carlisle and Gonzalez wouldn't show up. It would be a tie vote, and if there was a tie vote, the clerk would be the deciding factor. And if the clerk is on Henyard's side, she gets what she wants. So I don't know. What I don't understand is if that's true and the clerk is a tie-breaking vote, I don't give a damn if she filed everything wrong. She's the tie-breaking vote. I'm gonna keep her on team me. I would keep her on team me. And the other thing too is like, really? You're gonna get mad at your clerk for filing things wrong, but your lawyer files shit wrong all the time, and he's still there? Come on now, like, make it make sense. That don't even, I don't know. That's kind of giving goofy. Like it makes my clerk, you file something wrong, we don't rock with you no more. Lawyer, you always file everything wrong, but keep filing wrong shit. Bruh. That don't make any sense. Yeah, that's actually ridiculous. Let's see. The trustees can only be removed by the board. The board consists of two trustees that are being sued, and one that's not being sued, and the supervisor. Yeah. Okay. I think that's a justification for excused absence. Okay, if there was no motion for adjournment, it counts as an absence. Okay. When last night I literally heard the adjournment. Okay. Let's see. Mm-mm-mm-mm. I have no clue what the scope of his relationship is. Um, I I'll be honestly, the shit is confusing. I tried to figure out it on the village side. I looked into it on the township side, and you don't know what capacity they. Even when I looked at the complaint, I took it down. But even when I looked at their complaint, generally, see that's the. It would have to be some form of independent. Because if you have an attorney for the township, right? This attorney generally represents the township. Most times, like okay, let's talk about here in good old in DC. The council has its own attorney, general counsel. The council has their own general counsel. That general counsel represents everybody. So if there was a lawsuit between the council chair and other council members, that attorney can only be on one side or the other of that lawsuit. So it's interesting to see. I don't know. I can't really figure out the nature of his relationship. I'm assuming this is in the personal capacity. I'm assuming it's in his personal capacity. And the only reason I'm assuming that is because to be the attorney for the council, I'm assuming to be the attorney for any local municipality, there has to actually be a process. And with the trustees, I mean, the process could have been skipped. It's fair. This shit gets skipped all the time, and nobody plays by the rules here. So it could be that could be the case, but I can't see a situation. Normally, that attorney in that position isn't a unilateral thing appointed by the council chair. That's not normally how it works. Now, these rules are a little loosey goosey and people don't follow rules, but normally the council chair isn't like, okay, you're going to be the general counsel to represent the entire council and it's unilaterally up to me. Normally, it's, hey, we recommend to nominate this person. It's some type of a vote. I don't see any way in the world that hell, I don't even think Everett Gray would vote for Max Solomon to be the attorney for the trustees collectively for all of them. So that's why I'm thinking it's a personal one-on-one representation, and he doesn't have an official serving as special counsel to the township or something to that effect. That's what I'm guessing. Interesting. Okay, well, hey, if that was the state law asserts, I mean, I guess it works out. Then them not showing up. Then if that's the case, let's see. There were 3 people who voted to join. I saw some of it. I saw the highlights. I can't watch that shit. It's so long and it's the same thing. Her talking about that the tax bill and all this other crazy shit. I get tired of hearing it. Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you, Terrence. I appreciate that. She loses again. Facts. Mm, mm. I gotta take a look at that. I gotta take a look at that. I don't know. I can't speak on it. Didn't factor in the Trump appointments. Yeah, I didn't do it initially either. I forgot all about it until I had a video. I never put it out, but it's a video, and it was talk about how Trump's DOJ is going to impact the Tiffany Henyard investigation and prosecution. I might put it out. It's still, I might put it out on inauguration day or something like that. Okay, okay, okay. I said the lies today. Right up to the Doge attorney was definitely acting in defense of Tiffany. Okay, I agree. I think that's what it is. I don't. I mean, even if it was a law, you think she gonna follow it? Even if it was a law, I don't think she was gonna follow it. Let me see. The clerk was out the door, then faster than the others. I'm just trying to catch up in the chat. Let's see. Mm-mm-mm-mm. What? Supervisor friend was elected commissioner. Who gets it because he's away from the people. Okay, all right. The supervisor of Thornton Township friend was elected as commissioner. She will give Tiff a cushion job away from people. Okay, can she give her a job that wish she was making $300,000 though? I don't think I don't see that. Whatever her salary has been over the past couple of years, there's no way. I mean, she might have a cussy job, but she don't have to do shit or is required to do very little. But I just don't see her having any type of employment that will warrant a 250, $300,000 salary. Like, I just don't know what skill she has to even demand that. They all will be out of luck. Yeah, those guys want her to win more than she probably does. Cause hey, we saw the what was it, $50,000, $30,000 increase that Keith Price got. And hey, she clearly likes taking care of people who she rock with. In the interview yesterday, I didn't even know it, but when I saw the interview with Fania Dukes, she was making $138,000, and she said I never made that much money ever in my life. That was the first time where I had money left over after a paycheck. So, hey, she clearly takes care of the people who she rock with. The problem is it's only a matter of time before she don't rock with you. Yeah, I don't think she can do anything that'll make $300,000. I don't know. Maybe I'm a hater. Like I don't think she anything that's legal. Like I mean, hey, if she wanna, you know, engaged in some illegal activities for $300,000, maybe. I don't even know. Would you trust? I don't know. I wouldn't even trust her with like, hey, I need you to move this from here to there. Nah, something might happen to it. It's gonna be a smash. Yeah, yeah. I can't see anybody giving her that that hearing was crazy work. I'm telling you, they all are. Chris made a motion for adjournment, and she was like, "We are not adjourning." That's when he got up with a good night post look and left. I saw him get up and storm out, but I don't know if I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this all this shit play out. At the end of the day, I'll tell y'all right now, I may take off. I may take off the day of the election because I would love. I can't wait to see like the real reactions. You know how they do the polling after people leave. They ask them, hey, who'd you vote for and why'd you vote? I just don't see people going in there writing her name in if she's a write-in candidate. I just don't think she's going to get on the ballot. I think even though the process maybe has some gamesmanship to it, hey, that's the nature of politics. You use politics to games outgame your opposition. Hey, Napoleon used it to outgame you. Hey, as the world turns, I think that's kind of how it is. But I don't know. That's my take on it on this lawsuit. I don't think it's a frivolous lawsuit because I think there is some basis in law and fact. I just don't think it's a good lawsuit. A frivolous lawsuit and a terrible lawsuit are two different things. I think this is a terrible lawsuit. Even if they get the specific performance mandamus that they want, I think it'll be done. By the time it's done, it will be of no consequence because it'll be time for her to lose the election anyway. So that's my thought process. It is what it is. I'm about to jump off here. Yo, I appreciate all y'all for tuning in. I'm trying to keep up with these comments. Let me see. No, one let's see. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. He gonna apply for everything. I know, but you ain't gonna. It's very few. I don't know. Maybe it's different in Illinois, but it's very few government jobs that you can do. Well, Illinois is weird because you can have 6 government jobs and none of them conflict with each other. So I don't. I don't know if there's another $300,000 opportunity out there. Maybe 100,000, 125, 138, but another $300,000 opportunity in local government. I don't know if that's a possibility, but yo, that's it for this video. Y'all getting at it in the comments. Everybody be easy. Hey, if you enjoyed this content, check out whatever's on the screen for the folks on the replay side of the game. And I don't know. I might put out a video tomorrow. I'm not sure yet. Y'all have a good night. Y'all be safe. Be blessed. This stuff is going to come to a resolution very soon. Election is going to be coming around the corner, so we're going to see how it play out. Y'all take care. Peace.